Hi, everyone, and welcome to the I Don't Know Show with Joe. I'm Joe, and I don't know much about the shape of our planet, but my guest, David Weiss, aka Flat Earth Dave, knows that it's flat. Dave, thank you for joining the show.
Thanks, Joe. I like that. I like the I don't know, Joe. You know, flat is not a shape, by the way. Flat is just a description of something that is level, horizontal, and
Sure,
we don't live on a flat Earth. We live on a topographical level Earth.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll take this anywhere you want to go. Where do you want to go? And
Flat,
just to
as
point
opposed
out,
to a globe.
yeah, just to point out. I wonder if I can make my background. Well, the horizon out here is flat. And you have a cartoon horizon behind you. Just pointing that
I
out.
picked I was looking for a background on Zoom, and one of the
Yeah.
defaults was Earth, so I'm like, oh, that seems pretty appropriate.
Why didn't you get an actual picture of Earth from space from NASA? Oh, that's right. They don't
I,
have any.
is that true that they don't have any?
That's true. They don't have any.
I've seen pictures of Earth from space.
You've
Who's
seen pictures, you've seen images, but you haven't seen any photographs. They're all composites. They're all artwork. Yeah.
Meaning that there's no
There's
photograph that has the entirety of Earth. They're all pieced together. Is that what you're saying?
well, that's one thing. Yeah. So you know, no matter how high you go, the horizon of the Earth is level and non-curving unless you use a fisheye lens. So any pictures, the difference between a picture and a photograph. Um, it from NASA will never use the word photograph because for some reason they don't like to lie. But they're all composites. There are no pictures of Earth. Think about this. You go to the moon, right? What's the most beautiful thing that you could see from the moon?
I'm sure there's plenty.
Well, what would be the most beautiful?
Maybe Earth.
Maybe Earth. Do you know that they never once said the word Earth or pointed the video camera at the Earth once?
Um, I don't know. I don't know that, but I have seen what did I see? I saw pictures, not photographs. I
You
saw
saw
one of them.
pictures. Well, there's supposedly a
Seen
alleged
pictures.
picture from the first picture of Earth from the moon, but you can tell the Earthrise photo. But the thing is, they were on the front of the moon. The Earth should have never risen. It should have been over their heads because they're on the side of the moon that's facing the Earth. So how do you get the Earth to be at the horizon?
I'm definitely not going to know about these specific things, but
Yeah.
let me just, before we get into all of that, when did you first realize that the world was flat, and what was it that convinced you?
Yeah. So in 2014, I was doing a conspiracy podcast looking into all the big deceptions of the world. And people started sending me flat Earth stuff. Hey, have you looked into flat Earth? And I thought it was a joke. I thought like, oh, that's funny. Then all right, all right, enough. Then they keep posting. So then I just ban people and like, you're not allowed to comment anymore. You're too stupid. And then finally, another researcher, Sophia Smallstorm, I was talking to her and she goes, Dave, I think the Earth is flat. And I flipped. I was like, you too? Where is this coming from? And she goes, here. And she sent me a couple videos. And I don't say don't what I'm not saying is watch a video and believe the Earth is flat. No, videos can help you understand some things and see some things, and then go check for yourself. So I went in with a bad attitude. I was just going to disprove flat Earth and prove the globe, and I couldn't do it. And the thing that got me was, if we live on a ball, things that go over and away should go below a physical curvature. Like if you had a marble on top of a basketball and you rolled it away from you, it'll disappear from the bottom up over that curvature. And I was watching them zoom boats and city skylines in that should be, tens or hundreds of feet below the curve. And there they are. So right then, Nikon had come out with their P900 super zoom camera. And I went out and I bought that, a tripod, and I went down to the beach. I had a perfect day. It was calm. It was clear. And I set the camera up just a couple feet over the water, and I zoomed in on a buoy over 10 miles away. It doesn't sound like far, but I could see the surface of the water beyond the buoy, right? At 10 miles away, do you know what the curvature of the Earth is? Probably not, right? It's okay. I didn't know.
I do not.
It's 66 feet minus the observer height. So 66 feet of curvature. That's a 6-story building, right? But I can still see the buoy and the surface of the water beyond it. So that was a start right there. So I'm like, okay, something must be going on. And so the Glober argument for that is refraction. They're saying that things refract up and they're not really there. So Globers are admitting that the horizon is not a physical place. It's
Okay.
a mirage or a refracted optical place.
Sure.
That's ridiculous.
Why is
Okay.
it ridiculous?
Well, if you and I were on either side of your house and we both started walking away across a level field, right? No hills, right? At what point should I see you above your house?
We're both walking away from the
Yeah.
house with no hills. When should you see me above my house?
Yeah.
What do you
You
mean
would
by
have to
above?
like you would have to refract up and I'd be able to see you above there because globers claim that things refract, up. If things refracted up, why don't they refract sideways also? All right. Like if you were walking down a city block and you took a left hand turn around a corner, at what point should you refract out so I see you again? These are stupid questions. You
You
can't,
had done this in
yeah.
your backyard with your zoom lens, and so that's kind of what convinced you. That was
That was
your
the first thing. Yeah. There was many others.
uh-huh. So, and we talked before about the moon landing. Can I assume that you believe the moon is landing was fake then?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
Those
clear.
kind of go hand in hand, right?
Well,
You can't
the
have
funny thing
one
is
without the other.
I became a flat earther before I realized the moon landing was fake. Um, and but then once you take the time and look at it, there's so many visual things. Are you familiar that I have an app, the Flat Earth Clock app? And there's a
No.
NASA nonsense, there's a moon landing nonsense section on it, and it's all the stuff that Google's hiding from you. They won't let you find these videos on your own. But there's so much. Like the first step of the moon was filmed from the moon. Did you know that? The cameraman was on the moon already when Neil Armstrong made the first step on the moon. How did he get there?
I mean, look, I got into the moon landing thing a long time ago. I ultimately I think we went there, but there was a lot of fuckery for sure. And lots of stuff that they messed around with. And again, I don't know the specifics of each claim that you're bringing up, but yeah, I remember there being a lot of oddities with the moon landing for
Well,
sure, at the very least.
there's so many the shadows, and there's
The
one scene where
shadows,
a guy's shadow is going to the right, then he goes to the right, and the camera pans over, and his shadow's now going to the left,
right?
which
Yeah.
which is impossible. Okay, we're not talking just angles; we're talking a 180-degree reversal of his shadow and just a short pan to the right.
But how about all other
Space
anything else
agencies.
in space?
Oh,
Have we sent anything into space? Is
yeah,
there a space station? Are there
yeah.
satellites? Or is that any of that real, or do you believe all of that is fake?
So space as described is first, it's scientifically impossible. We don't believe in space. We believe that we are in some sort of containment, whether it's energetic, whether it's physical, as the Bible would say. I couldn't tell you because I can't go there. But, gas needs containment. When you open up a soda can, instantly it equalizes, right? If you had a box of air in a room that had no air, and you poked a hole in that box on any side of the box, top, bottom, left, or right, it's going to immediately violently fill the available space. Except on Earth, we have air, high pressure air, adjacent to a no pressure vacuum of space. No pressure. You can't have high pressure next to low pressure or no pressure without a physical barrier, right? There's no other place that works except in magical space, right? And the only answer that Globers have is that gravity is holding the air down. Gravity's hold. Do you know that? Here's the official explanation of why the air is held down and spins with the Earth. The Earth is topographical, as we said, and the friction of its spinning for billions of years has made all of the atmosphere spin with the Earth, which is
But how,
ridiculous
how
because we
does
can
how
watch
does
clouds
flat
go
Earth
left and right. What's
how does
that?
flat Earth explain that? How does flat Earth explain air and gas and containment?
We're contained. We're contained. We're
What are we
in a
contained in?
contained. We're in some sort of dome system, whether it's waters above, whether it's a crystalline dome. I couldn't tell you whether it's energetic, but we are in a contained space. Bill Nye himself said that we live in a contained world. There's no way out. I mean, you're laughing at Bill Nye because why
Thank
am I
God Bill
quoting
Nye
him?
said it.
Yeah, thank God. Right. But even that's one of their high priests of scientism. Um, and when you look at all rocket launches, they all go up and they curve over, and they tell us that they're going around the Earth, but they're literally curving down. They're going right back into the
So then
Bermuda
I was
Triangle.
correct then. You believe that we haven't sent anything into space.
Nothing.
Nothing. No satellites, no Starlink, no nothing. No space station.
Let's talk about that. Um, their NASA controls 99% of the helium on Earth, and they
What does that
use
mean?
most. They control all of the helium on Earth, and they
What does
use
that mean that
helium.
they control the helium? I don't know what
Well,
that means.
so they own all of the helium production on Earth,
Okay.
essentially all of it, and they use tons of it. They have a balloon program. They have tens of thousands of satellites hanging from giant balloons.
Okay.
On my app on flatearthdave.com, there's a frequently asked questions page. There's the satellites page. All you need to know about satellites is there. But let's talk about Starlink because I've seen them. I've seen
Me
them.
too.
I've seen them cruise over. So
It
do you know
looked
how
like a
big
bunch of alien ships. We didn't know what it was. We were all looking up like, what
but
the
they're
hell is
bright. They look like alien ships in your imagination. They look like a bunch of points of light in the sky, right?
that?
That's all. I mean, that's the only thing we can say about any, no star has ever been seen anything other than a pixel of light in the sky. So you see these. So do you know how big they are?
No.
So they're about the size of a kid's desk. Let's say three grown men. That would be the size of a Starlink satellite. I think I'm exaggerating. I think it's smaller than that, right? So if you look at the engine on a 747, you can probably fit 10 to 20 Starlink satellites inside the engine if it was hollow, right? You with me? Just for a size comparison.
Okay.
So a 747, when you stand underneath it on the ground, it's gigantic. The engines are huge. They're overwhelming. They're very amazing technological engineering marvel there. But when a 747 is flying at cruising altitude 5 to 7 miles, you can barely see it. It's a tiny spot in the sky, and you can't see the engine because the engine's too small. Okay. And
Okay.
if you doubled the height of that airplane, you wouldn't even be able to see the airplane because its angular size would be too small for your eyes to resolve. Do you understand that?
Okay.
It's called the angular resolution limits of your eyes. If I held a penny right in front of you, you can see it. If I moved that penny a half a mile away, you couldn't see it because it's too small for you to see. So, so you can't see a jet engine at, let's just say, double the height, call it 10 miles, right? But those Starlink satellites are a tenth of the size of the engine and 50 times higher. They're 350 miles up minimum. If they were right above you, 350 miles, and as they move away, they get farther away. But you think that you can see them and you think that they can reflect sunlight perfectly to your eye and everyone else's eye without flickering? The whole, satellites and the moon reflecting sun thing is complete nonsense. And once you look at it, you'll understand that it doesn't make any sense. It's just a belief system.
What is your view on what the sun and moon are?
Yeah, that's a great question. The sun and the moon, I don't know if the sun and the moon that we see are even physical. I think that they're in apparent positions. I think that the sun is within the firmament, which I mean above it from our point of view, and it's reflecting in. If you
So
get
it's above the dome.
yeah, above the, we'll call that, and whatever the dome is, the dome is. But here's a thing that you can do: you get a glass bowl or a glass dome, turn it upside down so you got a dome, and then go outside and put it down, and then look at the sun. Or look in it, and if the sun's up, you'll see a floating spherical sun inside there. And if you walk around it, you'll see that it looks like it's in 3D space. It's pretty cool. Saying that maybe that's how we see the sun.
And how does um in your model, just want to get clarification on what you believe is math and physics and gravity are is there something wrong with those formulas? Are the formulas wrong? Does physics need to be rewritten?
No. Physics just needs to be applied properly. So let's talk about that. But if you first by started saying by our model, we have a model, right? And it's debatable whether it's right or not. But let's talk about the globe model and the flat Earth model. The globe model, a model is when you have something that you made smaller. Like on my wall here, I have a whole bunch of model ships, and they have sails on them, and they have everything, and they'll float, they'll do everything. So if you look at a globe on a desk, the question is, can it hold water on the outside? Can you pour water on the outside and will it stick to it? And the answer is no. Can you stick a cruise ship or a person to the bottom of it and will it hold them with gravity? No. Can it contain air on the outside? The answer is no. So it's not a model, it's a toy. Now let's look at a bowl of Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, if you will, Kentucky Fried Chicken from my generation. Okay. And you got the mashed potatoes in there, you got the chicken in there, and you got the gravy. So you pour the gravy in there, right? And the thing is, can it hold liquid? Sure. It's holding the gravy. Can you float a person or a boat on that? Yep, absolutely. You put the dome lid on it. Can it contain air? Yes. Okay. So a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken with a plastic dome lid is a better model of the Earth than the globe. Just pointing it out.
Okay, but the globe model physics accounts for all those questions that you had about the
What
water and
what
the air
physics?
and the boats.
What physics
All
accounts for the water? The water at rest lies flat. Water in a
right.
vacuum boils. Water, air not contained immediately fills the available space. So, what physics are you talking about that can hold air down to the earth and make water flat on a globe?
Mostly gravity.
Gravity. So the vacuum of space can't pull the air away. Doesn't the air won't fill because gravity's holding down, but I can point a straw downwards, put it in my mouth, and with the ultra weak, super weak low pressure system of my mouth and lungs, I could pull air and water up and away from the earth, defying gravity, but the Tor 17 vacuum of space cannot.
Yeah, I mean all the equations work.
Equations.
All of these, yes.
Yeah. So you can make
But I'm
equations
not an
to prove.
expert. I don't want to
Yeah.
represent the globe model. I'm
No,
asking you about
yeah.
your
So
model.
so I'm telling you that the globe model doesn't work, and gravity is just a theory, right? Gravity. Let me ask a question. If you let's say you lent me $1, okay, and then he said, okay, pay me back, and I gave you 96 cents. I said we're even. No, I gave you 4 cents. Sorry, my math is backwards. Dyslexic. I gave you 4 cents. I go, we're even. You go, what about the other 96 cents? And I go, don't worry, they're dark pennies. Okay. They're dark money, right? Because that's what gravity is. Gravity was off by 96%. So you know what they did instead of throw out the model? They just said, oh, dark energy and dark matter, which no one's ever witnessed. They made it up to make their equation work.
That it was off by 96%. What do you mean by that?
The equations of gravity were off by 96%.
Which equation?
The equations of how the whole solar system's held together, the gravitational, everything about gravity, it was off by a factor of 96%. So they made up dark
MM over R squared. That is off by 96%.
Yes, because they made up dark matter and dark energy to fill in the other 96%. It's just made up.
Mind if I look stuff up because I can't.
You can, but listen, I don't think this is looking up formulas and going over mainstream. You can look it up. I encourage people.
I've never heard of that before. That's why I want to look it up.
Also, which gravity are you talking about? Einsteinian gravity or Newtonian gravity? Because they threw out Newtonian gravity and changed it to Einsteinian gravity, the bending and warping of space-time.
Yeah, because science is always improving. So yeah, that doesn't mean everything's perfect. I'm just asking you how it works in your mind. So you're saying it needs to change. So it sounds like the answer is yes. You're saying the formula is wrong by 96%.
Yeah.
So your answer would be yes, the formula needs to change.
Well, it's just wrong. But the other thing is, you can't. There's no test no one has tested gravity, but they have tested electrostatics. Do you know what know anything about electrostatics?
Sure.
Everything is electric. Everything has an electrostatic charge to it. The ground is negative and the sky is positive. So anything above the ground is surrounded by that positive charge. The ground is not going to move. So anything that's more dense than the air will go down. Anything that's more dense in the air will go down. And science, we can test it. We can add a negative charge into something and it floats up, and we can have something that's floating in the air and add a positive charge, a stronger positive charge, and it'll go down. And I do this in almost every podcast that I do that has video. And so we can manipulate the independent variable. We can take the natural phenomena of the downward force or whatever you want to call it, gravity. And we can show you that the electrostatics can overcome it. Now, mainstream science, listen to this carefully, says that the electrostatic force is 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity. So let's pretend gravity is real. The electrostatic force is 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity. You cannot fathom what 10 to the 36 is. Okay? You can't fathom. Like if I came over there, you're holding your arm out, and I put my hand on it, and I went like this. I went and I just pushed. I pushed a little bit. Your hand would go down a little bit, but you can resist. If I pushed it 100 times harder, I'd probably slam your hand down. If I did it 1,000 times harder, it might break your hand. If I did it 100,000, 1,000,000 times harder, you'd probably be dead. If I did it 1 billion times harder, I don't know, maybe you'd explode. 1 trillion times harder, you can't even fathom what that is. And that's 10 to the 12th. We have to get all the way to 36. So we have to times 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000. None of that. And so basically what they're telling us is that gravity doesn't exist. Because the electrostatic force can pull things down. We can prove it. How can you claim that gravity, which is 10 to the 36 less powerful? It's ridiculous.
I don't know what that means, that it's less powerful or more powerful. I'm sure
so if I was twice as strong as
draw
you,
a diagram with all the forces.
yeah. So if I was twice as strong as you, it wouldn't be a fair fight. 10 to the 36 power stronger, right? The force of the electrostatics pulling something down.
What are the components of the formula? Is it mass? Is it distance? Yeah. What is contributing to the strength of the force? And if you apply the gravity formula at the same time to the same things, I'm sure that all the equations work out. I don't understand.
Don't be so sure about that. They don't work out. Remember, the Newtonian gravity was off by 10 to the 96%.
Yeah, when they discovered that, they updated it, right?
No, they haven't updated it. They still say dark matter and dark energy.
Let's get back to your model for a second. How do day and night work? How do seeing different stars, depending what hemisphere you're in, how does that work in your model?
So we can only see the North Star in the northern hemisphere, right? I mean, the Earth is a globe. The North Star is above the North Pole. So once you go past the equator, you shouldn't be able to see the North Pole. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Well, it is correct.
How does it work in your model?
Well, the problem is we can see the North Star as far as 30 degrees south, and the Southern Cross can be seen from Texas, which is in the northern hemisphere. So these things don't work on a ball, but I'll explain how it works on a flat Earth. It's very easy. Okay. So let's say you and I were in a room, and in the ceiling of the room, there's recessed lights in all random patterns, and we can look up at those lights and say, look, that looks like a horse, and that looks like a starfish, and that looks like a snake. Okay, so now we see these patterns in the ceiling. So the ceiling's just 10 feet above us. This is a smaller scale, right? And so now I expand that room to the size of a city, several miles, and you go for a hike. You just start walking away. Now, before you get even a half a mile away, I'm not going to be able to see you anymore because the ceiling and the floor are going to converge. You're going to be too small for me to see you. Maybe after a mile, okay? And you're just going to be gone. So after 4 or 5 miles, I yelled, you can't hear me 5 miles away. So I call you on your phone and I say, hey, can you see that snake, that starfish, or that horse that we looked up? And you looked up and you're like, no, I can see completely different lights in the ceiling. That's exactly how it works.
Hey, everybody, quick message that I'd like to share with all of you. Our lives are filled with toxins in our air, food, and even in the information we're taught. Avoiding them all is impossible, but helping your body detox doesn't have to be complicated. That's where Masterpiece comes in. Just 5 drops under your tongue twice a day, and that's it. Super easy, super simple, and it doesn't even taste bad. I've tried countless supplements, and while generally I'm pretty healthy, I didn't really feel much of an effect. But with Masterpiece, it delivered noticeable benefits. Check out the podcast I did with Terry from Masterpiece, linked below this video, or you can find links directly to Masterpiece on my website, flatearthdave.com, or in the shopping section on the app. The key to health is to detoxify. Now back to the show.
Okay. And how does day and night work?
So day and night are very easy. You have to remember there's layers. We have the Earth layer, then we have the atmosphere layer, and then we have the cloud deck layer, and then we have the space layer, right? You have the what's above that. So the luminaries, the sun, the moon, the stars, they're all above the atmosphere deck. Okay, so when you're out on a spotted cloud day, blue sky, spotted clouds, beautiful. You look up, you have big blue spaces and clouds. But as you look farther and farther away, those clouds get lower and lower and lower, and they start lining up, and you can no longer see blue sky, and it all gets compressed into what I call a horizontal eye zone, or your horizon. Right. Even though that horizon is 10, 15,000 feet above your eye level, at 20, 30 miles away, it looks like it's at eye level. It just looks like it's at eye level. And our sun in the flat earth model is small, it's local, and it circles around the flat earth. And so as it goes away, it looks like it's going down, but it's just going away. Look at a bunch of streetlights. One above you is high in the sky. The one down the road is trying to merge into the horizon. But the streetlight, it's gonna kind of it's just gonna disappear. But the sun is above the atmosphere, and the atmosphere becomes opaque over distance, and it just goes beyond it. And everything to you, due to perspective, looks like it's at eye level. On my app, on the frequently asked questions page, there's a "Where does the sun go" section, and all of this stuff is beautifully laid out for you. One more thing I forgot to say at the beginning, Joe. Sure. Don't believe anything I'm telling you. I want to point to some doors, and I want you to do your own research, but I made it easy for you on my app. You can find it at flatearthdave.com. It's a $3 app. I'm not here to sell apps. I'm here to give information out. But if you want to, if I want to keep doing this, I got to sell $3 apps. But it's cheaper than a cup of coffee. You ever buy anyone a cup of coffee or a shot of tequila? Okay. So there you go. And
sounds good.
Yeah. So the "Where does the sun go" is a great section. And again, Google is hiding all these videos. You Google top 10 reasons the earth is flat. Google is going to give you top 10 reasons the earth is a globe. Well, that's not what you asked for.
I don't use Google, but
good for you. Good for you.
I can't say that anything else is better, but yeah, we all know that Google's fucking with those search results. But what are the boundaries of Earth?
Boundaries.
North, south, east, west. I don't know if it's a square, rectangle. I don't know what the shape is. If it's a disc. The boundaries. Where does it end?
So large bodies of water at rest lie flat. So anything bigger than a cup or a gallon of water at rest lies flat, but it needs containment. If you had a bathtub and the side of the tub wasn't there, your water's not contained. If you go down to the pond, the water's contained because the land is higher than the pond. Lower the land on one side, the water's going to go somewhere else. So they tell us the earth is a lumpy rock surrounded by curved water. No one's ever measured that curve, by the way. And it's just sticking to the ball. Versus the flat earth model, we live in a giant pond. All the continents are islands in the pond. They're all at the same level. And the edge of the pond that contains the water is what we call Antarctica. It's not up the bottom. It's not a continent at the bottom of a ball. It is the shoreline that contains our world. Interesting thing is the average height of all the continents on the earth, Antarctica is over double number 2.
So Antarctica is the border on which side?
All the way around.
Antarctica goes all the way around. So what's in between Antarctica? What's the edge until Antarctica? Can you get from Asia to North America without going through Europe?
Yeah. So if you go just from Asia across the center, the North Pole is at the center. Antarctica is south, which is all the way around the outside. And you can fly from Australia to Santiago just across the earth. But nobody goes from Santiago over Antarctica and then pops up in Australia. Like they should be able to. On a globe, Australia is at the bottom. Africa's at the bottom, or a little bit away around, and then South America, Chile is at the bottom. You should be able to go from any one of those points across Antarctica as a very short trip, but they don't. They don't go that way at all. And they go in a much
traditional globe map, and they've got Antarctica across the bottom of the map here.
Yeah.
All the way on the left side, on the west side, you've got North and South America, and west of that you have North Pacific Ocean, South Pacific Ocean. All the way on the east side, you've got Asia and Australia, and then you've got the Pacific Ocean. So is the Pacific Ocean in between in between North America
The
and
Pacific Ocean's right where the Pacific Ocean is. Take a globe, take Antarctica at the bottom, and imagine it's
yeah.
like the skin of an orange, whatever, and
Uh-huh.
peel it open from the outside and pull Antarctica out so it just becomes a rim all the way around the flat. We'll call it the pizza. The Earth is not a pizza floating in space.
So,
And so what they did is they took the flat Earth map and they wrapped it around the globe. They literally wrapped it around the globe. So if you take the flat Earth map, Antarctica is all of the shoreline that goes around our circular pond, and wrap it around and squish it all together. Antarctica becomes a continent at the bottom of the ball. Right?
so is Antarctica in between North America and Asia?
When you say in between North America and Asia, Antarctica is on the outside. Right? Antarctica is on the outside. You have South America. Then you come
Yeah.
up, you got Mexico, North America. If you
Yeah.
keep going in a straight line, you'll go up through Canada. Then you'll cross over the North Pole, and then you go into
Yeah.
China, and then you'll work your way down to the other side.
So China
Across.
is directly north of Canada.
China is, I gotta look at my thing. China is well north until you pass the North Pole, then it's south.
How do poles work in the flat Earth? I don't.
Yeah,
Where, there's a pole.
so the North Pole is the center of the Earth. Okay, the North Pole is the center. So you know what? We're on audio, but I'm gonna just show you a picture. The North Pole is the center of the Earth. So here's the map. Okay, right. The North Pole is the dot in the center. All of
Okay.
those lines, which are the time zones, every one of those lines going away from the center is south. South is every direction away from the magnetic north. If you put a
Right.
magnet on the center right there and then put a compass down, any way you move away from the center would mean that you're heading south. So when you
Okay.
hit the shoreline of Antarctica, that you've hit the south, right? So we have a North Pole, but there is no South Pole. Right? East and west are circles equidistant around the center. So if I went from California west, I follow that line all the way around through Asia, through Africa, back around, and I end up right back in California. And I followed 270 degrees west, or I can go north, I can go east, 90 degrees east, and I'll end up right where I was. Now that doesn't prove the Earth is flat or a globe. That proves that
I'm just trying to understand the boundaries. So
Yeah.
if you go south of Argentina, obviously you hit Antarctica. If you go south of Africa, if you go south of Australia, you get to Antarctica.
Correct.
If I go west of North America, I don't hit Antarctica.
No, because west is a circle. You have to constantly turn to the right when you're going west. Because you have to, like, if you were just a mile from the North Pole and you got a rope, you tied it to the North Pole, right? You need to stay equidistant from the North Pole to head west. So west is going to be a mile circle. You're going to go 6.28 miles. You're going to be right back to where you started from, and your compass heading will never have changed.
So
Now,
kind of
this works on a
tell me where I'm
globe.
wrong, but because it sounds funny to me that on the globe you kind of go relatively straight, but
No,
due to the
it's not
curvature of
true.
the Earth,
It's not true.
whereas in a flat Earth you have to walk in a circle to stay straight.
See, that's what you think, but it's not true at all. You have to turn right on so let's say you're on a globe. We go all the way to the North Pole on a globe. And so there's actual pole at the North Pole. And you're 100 feet from the North Pole. Which way is west?
Say that again, I'm 100 feet
So
from the
so
North
if you're
Pole.
if you're 100 feet, 100 feet, 100 miles, whatever it is, you got your back to the North Pole. Which way is west?
I have my back to the North Pole.
So west is to the right.
The west would be to the right.
Correct. So would you also agree that if you're walking away from the North Pole, that you're walking south?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So west is to your right. Now try to picture this in your head. You're on a ball and you start heading in that westerly direction. If you don't keep turning to the right, you're going to be walking away from the North Pole, which is south.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is true. This doesn't prove the Earth is flat. I'll tell you what does, though, right? Because it's the same on a globe. It's the same on a globe, except on the equator. on a globe, you don't have to turn right. You can just walk straight and walk all the way around. It's called a great circle. But then it gets worse. In the south, to go west, you have to turn to the left instead of the right to maintain your equal distance from the South Pole. But guess what? Ships captains, Navy ships captains constantly report when they're trying to dead reckon east or west in the Southern Oceans that they constantly have to turn to the north to maintain that heading. And they can't figure it out.
So you mentioned earlier that no one has photographed the Earth from space.
Correct.
Has anyone photographed the edge of the planet?
Yeah. I mean, you can go, it's called, people call it the ice wall. It's the shoreline of Antarctica. Most of it, we don't know all the way around because we don't have access to it. We only have access to basically off of South America and off of Australia. But it's a 200 plus foot high wall of ice to a plane, to a flat icy plane. And there's lots of information.
Kind of.
What's that?
It's like the Truman Show where you keep going.
Until you hit the wall. We don't know if there's a wall that terminates in Antarctica. Some people believe that there is. I personally believe that there's more land beyond the shoreline of Antarctica, right? Let's say the Earth is flat. We live on a pond, right? Let's put this into a reference that you can say. We'll go to Kansas, and there's a lake that's 100 miles across. It's a big lake, right? And at the center of the lake, we have a small little mountain. And it's a neodymium magnet. It's super strong. So you're out in a boat 50 miles from the shore, 50 miles from the center, and you take out your compass. It's going to point towards the center of that lake. If you try to go east and west, you're not going to ever get to the shoreline. You're just going to make a circle around that north. That's fine. Okay. Now, if you try to go south, which is any direction away from the center, you're going to go and you get to the shoreline of the lake. You're like, whoa, I guess I'm in Antarctica. Right. So you get off and you start walking. Right. And after a couple miles, you can't even see the lake anymore. So you're walking and walking and you're walking. And then let's say you come to another lake. This is just theory. I haven't been there. But if there's another lake with other islands, that could be a whole nother piece of the plane or a planet, if you will.
Okay.
Here's the thing. We do not need to speculate what's beyond the shoreline of Antarctica or what's higher than we can get, which is about 72 miles, to prove the Earth is flat. We can do that all day long, but it is interesting. And there's tons of evidences that there are more lands. For one thing, look at the etymology of the word extraterrestrial. Extra means more. Terrestrial means terra, extra terra, land, extraterrestrial. From where? The outer space.
Yeah,
what's
extra
that?
means extra doesn't just mean more, extra means outer too.
Outer, the outer space.
Etymology proves anything, right?
Yeah, no, and it doesn't. But I'm just saying, if you want to call an extraterrestrial, if you're on that lake in Kansas and you walk away from the center and you go to the outer area where there's another lake, that would be an extraterrestrial. And if somebody lived out there, just saying, just an idea.
So are the other celestial bodies above the dome, are those also flat or are those spherical?
Well, so you're assuming that there's bodies up there. The only thing that we can say about any of the things we see in the sky is that they're lights, right? If you go out, Venus has been in the sky lately, and Jupiter, they're super bright, right? And you have to believe that the sun is reflecting off of them. Now, they tell us Jupiter is a gassy planet, right? So dirty gases don't really reflect light that well. And they tell us Jupiter is 400 million miles from the sun. We're 93 million miles, just so we'll say that's 4 times farther. So if the sun that they tell us is 186,000 miles across was a mile over your head, it would just fill the entire sky. Move it 93 million miles away, it's the size of a coin at arm's length, just like we see it. You with me?
Sure.
Right? So if we doubled the distance of the sun, how big would it be? If we doubled the distance that we see the sun? And the answer is it would be a quarter of the size. So it went from a size of a nickel to the size of a quarter of a nickel. And then if we doubled it again, it would be like smaller than a pencil eraser. It would be very small. It'd be close to a large star looking light in the sky. So if we were on Jupiter, which is 400 million miles away, and we looked at the sun, it would be a tiny little pencil eraser size light. And then you have to believe that the light coming from that distant, dim sun is coming all the way to Jupiter, reflecting off of the non-reflective clouds. Then it's traveling 400 million miles to Earth, or 300 million miles to Earth, and we see it as bright as we see it, which is literally as bright as the sun, just smaller. None of that makes any sense. The math, the calculations do not add up. The inverse square law of light says that every time you double the distance to a light, it's a quarter of the brightness. So we have a brightness issue, we have a reflective issue, and none of it makes sense. We also can see Venus at nighttime when Venus is supposed to be between us and the sun. How do we see it at nighttime?
I'm sure somebody has an explanation for it.
Everyone has an explanation for everything. You can do mental gymnastics to support the globe, but that's what it takes.
I don't know about that. Look, I gotta say, I'm open to a lot of things. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that make a lot of sense. I mean, I don't like that terminology, but you know what I'm talking about. Governments lied to us plenty, media's lied to us plenty, the science has lied to us. I get it. But if flat Earth is real, there have to be millions of people involved in that cover up. So, do you really think that that's possible?
Well, it is possible, and the problem is it doesn't have to be as many as you're thinking. There are,
How many would it have to be?
I don't know. If you look at our government, most of them don't know. I think the higher ups know. I assume at this point Trump knows, but I know Obama knows. He mentioned the Flat Earth Society a half a dozen times in his speeches when he was president. So these are the flat earthers. These are the people that this is 1% of the people that know the Earth is flat. Okay. These are my app. So there are hundreds of thousands of people that have my app. My app represents less than 1% of the people on Earth that know the Earth is flat, and those are just normal people, right? So I know you still believe in the moon landing, but you'd think that there'd be a whistleblower. Guess what? There have been whistleblowers. Russian astronauts have admitted that they've not gone to space, that the moon landings were fake. There was a whistleblower.
I'm fine with believing the moon landing's fake. Okay. That's something that that's one of the more compelling conspiracy theories. I'm not convinced. I think that we have gone, but at one point I did think that it was fake. And if you came out with more evidence for that, I'm quite open to it. This flat Earth stuff doesn't seem compelling to me.
Yeah, well, I just want to throw something out here. By the way, flat Earth researchers are passionate. We are passionate because once you see it, you can't unsee it, and eventually you may see it. So listen, I'm speaking to the people that are going to see yours coming from my side. Be nice to Joe. He's not a troll. He just has strong beliefs. He hasn't seen it. I think you are honest. I think you are being totally honest.
I don't think you're trolling either, Dave.
So I'm just saying, guys, be helpful in the comments. Share links. Do you allow links on your videos? If people in the comments, can people share links?
Yes, and whatever.
Yeah, no. So if there's something Joe says that you think is crazy, share some information. I think he's a guy that's willing to look and learn. So
I'm not trying to say anything crazy. I'm trying to ask questions and understand.
You're asking great questions. I'm just pointing out people get really frustrated, and I have to tell you, flat earthers are very mean. Some of them can be mean, not from the heart. It's just because they're passionate. So
I don't get offended easily.
Yeah. So good. So everyone, Joe is on his way to discovering more about the world, and hopefully you take the time and look.
So how many people do you think would have to be involved in this cover-up?
None. I don't think very many at all. Like, if the head of Walmart was really here to enslave people, do you think all the employees know?
If the head of
Walmart, Sam Walton, who ran concentration camps in the wars, his family did.
His family, okay.
Yeah. So only the very top of the pyramid needs to know. There's people that work at NASA that don't know NASA's fake. Okay, so it is hidden, and then there's people. One of the, I forget who said it, some Russian Nazi scientist said, "Give me a child when they're in their formative years, until they're age 7, and I'll own them for life." And basically, that's what they do. You are programmed full globe before the age 7, full globe, and it's hard for people to let that go.
It's just so funny how you kind of call the Globers or the whatever, like you kind of paint them as the conspiracy theorists.
It's
think
true. We don't believe in conspiracies. We
I know
actually
you
look
think
at
it's true.
facts.
I'm just saying I think it's funny. That's all. But no, I think there would have to be a lot more people involved in the cover up. You know, we got astronomers, physicists, engineers, geologists, space agencies,
Yeah.
aviation industry,
Have
satellite
you?
operators, communications companies. How does your cell phone work, man? How does everything work? Government,
No, that
media,
that has nothing to do.
military.
That has nothing to do with it. Cell phones don't work with satellites. You know that, right?
They work with formulas that rely on all of the physics that has been established. Like if
No,
the
that
world didn't
that
operate
yeah,
as we thought it did, none of the technologies built off that information would work.
that's not true. It's not true. I mean, yes, cell phones are great. Are interesting technological things. They have nothing to do with the shape of the earth. It's easy to fool people into believing stuff. People believe that cell phones use satellites when 99% of all of the internet traffic is done on undersea cables, right? And what's funny is there's no undersea cable from Chile to Australia or to Africa. They go all the way up into the north and all the way back down. Look at it on a flat earth map. It makes perfect sense. Flight routes are make no southern flight routes make no sense on a globe Earth. Okay.
So you said almost no people are involved in the cover up. So who are the people that are involved?
I don't know. I mean, I know that the very tops are. It's interesting. All of
Who's
the
the very tops? Who do you
well,
consider the
I
very
would
top?
say presidents, most presidents now, maybe not all of them, but all of the world leaders, whenever they're elected, they immediately go to Antarctica and they disappear for a couple
So,
of days. Maybe
so the
they're getting
world
their
leaders
marching
are
orders from the
giving
real leaders of this world.
So the world leaders are giving instructions to the space agencies and the astronomers to
Well,
hide
no, no,
things,
no. The
or
space agencies are part of the deception, right? The Admiral
that's what I'm
Byrd,
asking you. Who's doing the deception? That's what I'm trying to find
yeah,
out.
all the governments work together. The whole division, Russia, China, America, that's all fake. It's all divide and conquer. It's all divide and conquer, right? Let me just show you this. And if on the over here is New Zealand. Okay, you got New Zealand at the bottom of the ball, right off of Australia. And when it wants to go to Argentina, which should be just right across, next to Antarctica, it flies all the way up over the equator to San Francisco, then to Texas, and then all the way back down to Argentina. Now, that doesn't make any sense on a globe, but if you look on a flat Earth, all of those points are in a straight line.
Okay. But so who's involved in the deception? That's what I'm trying to find out.
Um,
Who, who's propagating the
all the
globe?
governments, all the governments are in on it. It's
Who in the
interesting.
government? You're
All
saying it's just
the
the president.
Well, the government. I mean, if you're elected a senator or whatever, you might not know. You might just be doing your
I'm
thing for
saying.
your
So
state.
who is telling the astronomers
The
to
Council of
tell
Foreign
everybody?
Relations, the Bilderberg Group, the Club of Rome. These are unelected officials that
So the
run this
deep
world.
state and the shadow government, the people who
Yeah.
run the world, they're they're what? They know obviously that the world is flat, but who are they telling? How are they carrying out the deception?
They're through the education system or the indoctrination system. The
So it's just
Rockefellers.
about what they're putting in the textbooks. What about the people
Absolutely.
that do this stuff as a profession? All those people
Well,
that are involved in space exploration and astronomy and
who's
physics.
involved in space exploration other than Elon Musk and NASA? That's all run by the government. NASA runs SpaceX.
I don't
NASA,
think
I
so.
look at it as NASA is the head of all the space agencies in the world. Right. If you look at the stuff on the frequently asked questions page, there's an ISS section. It shows you all of the screw ups in there. If you catch them using wires once, green screens, augmented reality, just once, that's all you need. But we caught them thousands of times, again and again and again and
Fine.
again. Now, I know that you don't care that we faked the moon landing, but that unravels to we're faking space. Why are we faking space? In 1950s, they explored Antarctica, Admiral Byrd, and he said he found land, green land, bigger than America, beyond the South Pole, that no one has ever seen before. Well, if the Earth is a globe, that would be in between Australia and South Africa, and I think somebody would have seen it. But if the Earth is flat, maybe he's talking about more land out there. There's tons of books about more land from the 1800s. The Iron Republic is a great book.
I'm a little unclear about how the deception is getting carried out, but what do you think is the motivation? Because look, if we're
Yeah.
talking about the faking the moon landing,
Yep.
I get it. We were in the space race. We wanted to show, our technological might and
Yeah.
inspiration,
That's a good
whatever. There's
story.
tons of
Yeah.
motivation that you can come up with for why they would fake
Yeah.
the moon landing. What would be someone's motivation for faking or lying about the shape of
Yeah.
the Earth?
So they're lying about the shape of the earth because they don't want a population that knows that they're at the center of creation, that knows and cannot deny that there is a creator. They want people believing in what a
It's an
Jesuit.
anti-religion thing.
It's not religion. It's about understanding what our place is within this realm. Jesuit priest came up with the idea of the Big Bang. Once upon a time, there was nothing. It exploded, became everything. Then lightning struck and created an amoeba, and the amoeba turned into a fish, and the fish grew legs and climbed out of the water, found another sexy fish, and had a monkey, and the monkey had a human. That's what you need to believe in the globe. Okay.
Okay, so you also don't believe in evolution then?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So that's really at the crux of the flat Earth versus
No, not at
globe
all.
Earth?
It's just part of
No,
it.
I'm saying at the crux of it is whether we are alone in the universe or whether the universe is infinite and we're a small part of it. That's like the crux of it.
So no, that's not the crux of it. The crux of it is there is no curvature. There is no way to contain high pressure next to no pressure without
but there's no curvature and no way to contain high pressure. That's the different. What would be the motivation for that? You're
So the
saying
motivation, I'm getting to the motivation. I started to say it,
Okay.
is that if once you understand that the earth is intelligently designed, you cannot deny creation. So if we live in God's created natural world, governments can only make laws that abide by those by natural law. Right. But if the government says, OK, hey, you live on a ball, we're going to commoditize you at birth. We're going to give you a birth certificate. We're going to trade you on the stock market. And you live on a ball that is anti-God. It's a demonic ball. All of the numbers, all of the math add up to 666 in almost every measurement on the globe Earth. If you believe in that, then you have to play by our ball field rules, right? If you believe in the globe, then you have to play by globe ball field rules. And then if they control you by that, they control you with their fake money. They've got you under control. And then people just like waiting for governments to save them. Govern is to control. Ment is the mind. They're literally controlling your mind.
You won't get me to defend the government here, but they're already controlling everyone.
Yeah.
Even the people who believe the world is flat are being controlled by the government.
Well, yes and no. I mean, we're definitely more unplugged. We realize, a lot of the things that people think, are facts are not. We're more unplugged than any group of people on Earth. Here's what I got for you, Jeff. I got a little homework for you. Willing to do it? It's pretty easy. It's really easy. You can even drink a beer while you do it. Doesn't matter. On my website, flatearthdave.com. You don't have to download the app. Scroll down, you'll see a picture of me, and it says crash course. And there's a long list of videos in there. It's just a playlist, and YouTube's hiding from you all the videos. And watch the first 3 videos. Just watch one a night for the next 3 nights. I guarantee if you watch those 3 videos, you're going to watch the 4th one and the 5th one, and then you're screwed. Okay? Because now you're going to have to deal with learning a whole new understanding of the realm that you live in.
Okay.
That's all I ask.
I am happy to continue exploration.
All right. Well, here's the thing: Googling isn't, and you know that isn't going to feed you anything truthful. I mean, you can get some truthful stuff through Google, but just watch those videos, and they're entertaining. They're done. The first one is called 21 Questions. Basically, it goes through the top 21 questions. What about gravity? What about sunsets? What about seasons? And it goes through them in 3-4 minutes per clip. Boom, boom, boom. So it gives you a foundation. Then the other ones are just really good. And then as you go farther down that list, it'll blow your mind. I assume that you haven't looked into the old world yet.
What do you mean by that?
The old world, that just a couple hundred years ago, there was a far more advanced civilization worldwide living here.
A couple of hundred years ago?
Less than a couple of hundred years ago. Everything is a lie. Everything in the Wild West, right? When Lewis and Clark crossed the Mississippi, going to find a route to the west, San Francisco was already fully built. Okay.
I've heard this is like the buried cities stuff.
No, there's buried cities. There's all sorts of stuff. On my app, there's an old world page. take a couple weeks and go dive in there. It's mind-blowing. But here's the thing. Don't believe anything. I'm pointing to some doors that you didn't see before. Hopefully you'll go through them, do some investigation, give it some thought with that God-given common sense you have, and stop believing in nonsense like the globe behind you.
Has anything ever been convincing to you in terms of the perspectives that counter yours? What's been the most convincing piece of evidence to the contrary of your
What's the
theories?
best globe proof?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still
You've heard.
Well, there really isn't any, and I'm looking for them. I am looking for it, but the globe is actually so dumb. Once you look at it, it's like you can't believe that you ever believed it before. I know you're laughing now because I laughed too. I was you. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. So, any final thoughts before I got to wrap it up?
Yeah, I always end by asking you to tell me and my guests if you had to choose one thing that you want me and all of the listeners to know, what would it be?
I want you to know that you don't know anything about the world that you live in. And I want you to go to my website, flatearthdave.com, go to the crash course. It's free. There's nothing to buy there. And just watch those videos. Turn off Netflix. Watch a couple of those videos. I guarantee that you know, and here's the thing. I'll make it worth your while. After watching 3 or 5 of those videos, if you can come up with one globe proof, I'll give you 3 Bitcoins.
That's an expensive bet.
It is, but I have no fear of losing because the earth is flat. And you will, it's either you know the earth is flat or you don't know that the earth is flat. Those are the two options.
Well, now I know.
There you go, Jeff. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Dave.
Hey, everyone. If you enjoyed this interview, please help support my work and help wake up others by referring or gifting the app to at least one person today. By doing that, you're going to help wake people up and help me to continue doing other interviews like this. With the censorship out there that's going on, it's very difficult to find relevant information. And the app, as you know, brings people to the truthful information of our world. So help support my work, help support your efforts in waking up friends, family, and strangers. Gift them the app or just recommend the app. And let's make 2025 the year Flat Earth breaks free. Check the links below for information on how to gift the app or just refer the app to others and use your referral code to earn Dome cryptocurrency and a free subscription. Thanks.